Hi everyone, welcome to CSPC Interview Series 2023. I would like to welcome Dr. Joel Martin, Chief Digital Research Officer of National Research Council of Canada. The CSPC is very thankful for your support towards the science policy community and for the support of NRC towards the conference. Thank you. Hello, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
As one of the roles of the National Research Council, and it's a very important. We are in a very digital economy right now, so This was one of my curiosity is about what is the biggest challenges and opportunities in the digital economy towards digital delivery of public services in Canada.
So, first of all, what I think is we need to focus on the opportunities as well as the challenges, but opportunities first. And then the second is that in thinking about digital opportunities, I like to think about the digital transformation, that we're not just taking some old photographs and turning them into digital photographs, but we're actually changing the way that we're doing our business processes. And the best model of this from business textbooks is about the introduction of electricity. So we're introducing AI now. 100 and some years ago, they were introducing electricity, and there was the opportunity for transformation if they adopted electric motors and thought about how to change things. And we can do that now for the digital world. In the factory, all the equipment had to be lined up because there were rotors that gave the power. Now they had electric motors and they could turn the whole factory into an assembly line. And that led to our assembly line factories. Okay, so where are we now? We have this opportunity for transformation in the government and in our universities. And I'll just use a quick example from science, because a lot of what happens at the National Research Council is in the science field. So what would it look like to transform a science laboratory digitally? Okay, now imagine what you're trying to do is to build some new material that's going to protect the plastic glass on your car window. Okay, what we have is a robot arm. The robot arm can go mix some new chemical. It can then dip a piece of plastic into that chemical, take it over and test how hard it is, see how transparent it is, how temperature sensitive it is. So you can see a picture in your mind of a science laboratory that just has a robot arm that's spinning around, constantly moving, doing these experiments of different chemicals on the windows to have these certain effects. Okay, that's a transformation. It's totally different than what a science lab would look before. And in the government, you can think about this kind of transformation as well, that the government, now this is a bit of a caricature, but government collects a bunch of information in forms and Excel spreadsheets, and then does some sort of a calculation from this data that was collected. And every time you calculate the same equation or something, you do it again, almost manually. And then you go collect the same information again and do it again. And then put all of that information into a report, and then hope that the report gets read more than once. You put it in some repository. So I told you, it's a bit of a caricature, but you can see the government in that operation where you're collecting data in a bunch of forms, collecting it too many times, manual calculations, and then reports that are just read once. ChatGPT and the AI that we have now can transform that whole process so that all of the documents are put in a place where you can ask questions of it. You could put all 10 years of a specific committee's meetings in that repository and say, okay, give me a summary graph of the last 10 years on this particular measure. And it can do it. Similarly, for the data, instead of collecting it multiple times in all different formats, ChatGPT or something like it, the next generation, can transform that data into another format. And so we can save a huge amount of effort for the government. And just a back of the envelope calculation in this kind of transformation, the government, I bet, it will be able to save $100 million per year just in savings from first drafts. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to save money and people lose their jobs. What it means is that people who are doing these boring routine tasks are going to do things that are a little bit more rewarding, and the government will have a greater impact. So The challenge, of course, is figuring out what counts as a transformation, because it's not obvious. It wasn't obvious in those factories. You have to do a lot of experiments, try things out. You have to train everybody because it's all new for everyone. They have to get ready for it. So it's not gonna happen overnight. And that's the challenge. You started with a question of what's the challenge. The challenge for digital transformation is that it takes time. And we see this already with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT has been around for a year plus, and we don't have tools that everybody thought, oh, we're going to have all these tools, it's going to transform the whole world. We don't really have that. There are a few little pockets, but it's not there yet. It's going to take time.
Yeah, you mentioned about a lot of opportunities of the AI and with especially with ChatGPT in the previous question. I'm actually leading on to that. I was wondering how can we leverage the immense potential of AI to solve some of the society's biggest wicked problems like climate change, aging population, food security, sustainability, all the big things that we are facing in Canada.
So that's a great question. The way I'm going to answer it is I'm going to focus on 3 areas where AI can help and illustrate why those will help in these wicked problems, these really most challenging problems like climate and health, etc. So one of the challenges that we have is not really knowing what's going on in tailing ponds or in batteries that are expired. We don't really know what's going on. And so AI is one of the tools that can help us take more sensor data and process it and get a summary of what's happening. And so one example would be on old car batteries. So you've got all these old Teslas or the old Toyotas that have car batteries that have expired. What's actually happened inside there? Can we get some sensors and can we do some scientific experiments to collect the right information about what's happened? So yes, AI can help us do that and automate it. Okay, what's another thing that AI can help us with? AI is really good at helping us speed up a search through a huge number of solutions. For every one of these wicked problems, there are trillions of, the reason they're wicked is that we don't know what's going to work. There are trillions of things we could try. We don't have enough time to try trillions of things. But AI gives us a way of trying things inside a computer first. So we'll try a trillion solutions. And of those, AI says, well, these million look like they're among the best. And then we do some simulations. And then eventually we try the top 100 in the real world with that robot going around testing them. And so it's a way of quickly experimenting. And so we could do that with materials for batteries. So how can we use critical minerals that we can find in Canada to make new types of batteries? What are the solutions? Well, let's do a big search through all the solution space using these robots. Okay, that was my second approach for AI. And then the third approach for AI, where AI can help, is on optimizing and integrating really complex systems. So just to stick with the battery example, so this is an important one for Canada, electric batteries for e-autos. There is a life cycle to the battery. We have to go mine the critical minerals. We have to design and build these batteries. We have to put them into automobiles. The automobiles have to be redesigned to take that. And then once the battery dies, we have to figure out a way to recycle them and reuse those components. Okay, so there's that whole life cycle. How can we optimize that whole life cycle? Right now, there's no one person has all of that information. No one company even that collects all of that information. So AI is a way that we can work to optimize that so that we don't end up with a global solution that's actually worse than internal combustion engines. Okay, so those are my 3 pieces of how we can address this problem.
Oh, that was a very good point that you made, especially with society problems. You're talking about the cyclic economy, where from the whole supply chain to the supply chain, it's a very important thing how we evolve into from a current economy structure into a new the new economy that we are going to. On continuing, you brought up that we have like lots of the opportunities and how we can advance, but with the so rapid deployment and advancement on AI and Internet of Things and other things, how do you think Canada is performing compared to globally, or in terms of regulating these technologies, and as well as there's also we have to also consider protecting users and citizens' privacy responsibilities. So how do you think Canada is performing on that?
So a very important point, it's an excellent question. A very important point to think about in relation to the regulation of AI and Internet of Things is that we have a significant amount of uncertainty right now. We know about ChatGPT. Nobody knew about it a year and a half ago. Not nobody, there were a few people, but we had no idea then. There are going to be changes in the next several years. Year by year, we're probably going to find new surprises. So if we try to write a law now with all of this uncertainty and the fast pace of change, we're going to get it wrong. And so we have to have a way of addressing that. I will point out though that that's not the only way that we address this problem, because one of the problems, let's say, is privacy. We already have protections of privacy. So many of these concerns about AI is going to cause this problem, there are protections in society and in legislation already for many of them, because there's the threat of people doing the bad things even before AI came along, or incorrect things, or it could be accident. It doesn't have to be on purpose. So we do have some protections in place, but new protections are necessary because new capabilities are becoming possible, and new problems can arise from the use of AI. Okay, so how are we going to address this from a regulation point of view? Is that we need to start sort of with a light touch. We need to educate everybody about what are the risks, what can you do, what shouldn't you do, and we can do that with guidelines. So what's happening in the Government of Canada is the Treasury Board released a set of guidelines illustrating what the primary risks were and how to address those. That went to all public servants. And now this is a way of teaching the public servants, giving them guidelines about what they should do. It's not regulation, there's not an enforcement built in, but it's a good first step. Okay, the second step is that this needs to be revisited very frequently, at least quarterly, because it's going to change. And as with experience, we're going to find new challenges. Some things, maybe they're no longer relevant because it didn't matter. So it needs to be revisited frequently. Education guidelines revisited frequently. And then we'll have a much better sense of what needs to be put with some greater enforcement. And you'll see something like that happening across the countries. It's a big challenge. We would love to have the protections in place right now that protects us from all the bad things that can happen, but we don't know enough. And so it's going to be slow.
Yeah, thank you for the excellent answer. Like you pointed out, the uncertainty with AI changing so frequently and how we are going to be. So I'm kind of shifting now from AI and other things to one of the other critical aspects which brings the uncertainty into this. We have also been hearing a lot of the issues with cybersecurity and ransomware issues of data breaches and other things. So how do you think in Canada we are actually looking at this considering as a landscape, and what is NRC doing, National Research of Canada, in protecting Canadian citizens and as not just citizens individually, but also it also deals with the infrastructure, like all our banks are controlled by the technologies, the traffic systems, water supply system. So how is the NRC working on to protect the physical infrastructure from cybersecurity as well?
So cybersecurity is a broad topic, and there are many parts of the government contributing to the solution. The most prominent is the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, CCCS. And incidentally, they have a very nice webpage on generative AI and the cybersecurity implications there. And there's a lot of information on that webpage. So again, this is a place where we need to educate people. And the CCCS is helping with tools and with education to promote this. And so is the So are other aspects of the government working on that. NRC is working on research that can help support these tools. They're not at the front line directly helping the citizen, but CCCS is. Cybersecurity is an important problem. And just to tie it back to our topic of AI, already cybersecurity is a problem. And we see data breaches all the time. And one of the reasons we're seeing the data breaches is because when the internet was designed, nobody said, okay, the first thing we're going to think about is cybersecurity. No, it's the last thing everybody thought of because we want to have this functionality and then, okay, later, let's be careful about the cybersecurity. If we do the same thing with AI, we're going to have huge problems. Can we now, we have a moment here when it's not fully adopted yet, and we can build in some cybersecurity right up front, some protections about its use, and make sure that nobody can peek inside of it. Like I can imagine some bad situations where companies now are losing data because of these data breaches. Eventually, these small companies are going to have AI tools that make their operational decisions for them. So in the future, they're going to lose their data and their system for making operational decisions, and somebody can simulate what they're going to do and take advantage of being able to predict what this company is going to do. So cybersecurity is essential. We need to think about it up front, as well as the education and the protection tools that CCCS is doing.
Thank you very much. That was it was very interesting to talk about some of the issues we currently face with AI and cybersecurity and what NRC and the CCCS is kind of doing currently. Now, because changing slightly off topic, this is the 15th anniversary of the Canadian Science Policy Conference, and I would like to know what do you think, in your opinion, is the value of the Canadian Science Policy Conference in the community and in the capacity building of young policymakers in science and policy landscape?
Well, so NRC is a very proud member, and we participate widely, and so it's because we love the opportunity that is exposed by this conference and by the center overall. So one aspect is that, as Francis Bilodeau mentioned yesterday at his lunch presentation, we have a fabric of science and technology and funding, and everybody who's at this conference currently is part of this fabric. And so that implies that everything is interwoven with each other. Without this convening body, we would be left with a lot of individual pairwise connections. So I go talk to one other part of the government, or I go talk to this one company. But with this conference and with the center, we're weaving the fabric, and you can see that whole fabric is exposed, and it's a large fabric. Let's say it's a tapestry, because at this conference there are so many sessions simultaneously, 4 or 5 sessions simultaneously. Each one of them is very rich with experts and a very intriguing topic, and the questions that are asked at the end are very valuable questions to be asking and to hear the answers to. That's the tapestry. We're mixing everybody together in this forum that we wouldn't have otherwise. Now, of course, it's at the conference, it's not just the presentations. Somebody should be counting the number of hallway conversations there are. Oh, I haven't seen you for 10 years. Somebody that they used to work with, and now they can have the possibility to work with again. Or somebody's heard some other talk, or they were both at some talk and say, oh, I'm so-and-so and I'm so-and-so, and oh, hey, we happen to have this connection. We should exchange cards and talk, or exchange LinkedIn pictures or something like that. So the hallway conversations are actually quite valuable. I don't know if there's any way to use that as a key performance indicator, but it's a huge success. And overall, NRC sees great value from this conference, participating in it, contributing to it, and benefiting from it afterwards in terms of the networking and the ideas that we take back.
Thank you very much for the wonderful answer, and also thank you for taking your time on a busy conference and participating in the interview. Thank you for participating in the CSPC interview series. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.